Hi, I'm Christy Bilbrey. If you are new to following me, I'm in part 2 of a new video series on how to grow your business with storytelling. This is going to be a really quick video with 2 takeaways, and I just want to really lay a strong groundwork for you so that you can become full-fledged, confident storytellers in your business. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is how to define story for this series. There is a difference between sharing an experience and sharing a story. So there are a couple definitions that I want to share with you that we're going to use for the purposes of this video series. One is Merriam-Webster's definition that I really like, which says the intrigue or plot of a narrative or dramatic work. So, it sounds very mysterious and intrigue. The second definition that I like is in Kendall Haven's Story Proof, The Science Behind the Startling Power of Story. He defines story as a detailed, character-based narration of a character's struggles to overcome obstacles and reach an important goal. So we're going to combine these. That might come across as, what is she really saying? So I think the second takeaway is going to clarify that a little bit. And that is talking about structure of story. So there are a lot of different story structures out there. What we are going to focus on is really simple, basic. You can use it for anything. It's 5 parts. The first part is you're going to paint a picture of the setting and or characters. The second part is you're going to introduce conflict, which is what the brain starts. Once you introduce conflict, that's when the brain really tunes in your audience. The third part is your struggle to overcome the conflict. The fourth part is resolution. And the fifth part is a key message or meaning that you're conveying to your audience. I don't want you to overthink this with, oh my gosh, there are all these parts. How am I going to keep this straight? I'm going to give you an example right now from my own life. It has nothing to do with business. Yesterday, I decided to make a quiche. I've never made a quiche in my life other than what I buy at Costco. So the reason that I wanted to make it was because I have just been craving pastries and I wanted a really good crust. And I thought, okay, I'll make a quiche really for the sake of the crust. So I find this recipe and it looks amazing. This crust has fresh garlic cloves, thyme, salt, and pepper. I'm like, I could eat the crust with nothing else, right? So I'm making the crust, I'm sauteing the mushrooms and spinach, I'm mixing the eggs and milk and the other ingredients, and as I'm about to put this dough of this crust into the pie pan, I'm realizing it just feels like raw flour in my hands. It doesn't feel like dough, but I figure, you know what? This recipe has it figured out. I'm just going to put it in there and we'll see what happens. Put it in the oven, take it out. It still just looks like raw flour. So I'm freaking out because that's the whole reason I did this. I'm calling my mom. What do I do? She didn't know. So I'm throwing everything in there. I just scraped everything out of the pie pan, put it back in the bowl. I put an egg in there. I put coconut oil. I put olive oil. I'm like, I'm going to mix this until it feels like dough and it sticks in my hands, for crying out loud. So I put it back in the pie pan and it definitely feels very doughy. I put it back in the oven. Well, this time it isn't like raw flour. It's very, very heavy and it's not cooking, and I have to keep cooking it 10 more minutes, 10 more minutes, 10 more minutes. Finally, I throw the afterthought, the actual quiche in, take it out. The quiche is fabulous. The crust is virtually inedible. The reason I'm telling you this story is because sometimes, whether it's in our business or in our personal life, we become so fixated on one piece that we are sure that we want, when it's the other little pieces that we really don't care about that end up being the sweetness of life, la dolce vita, right? And so I don't want you to overlook all the good things just because maybe what you are really going for isn't what it's all about. Okay, we're going to break this down quickly. So the first piece of the structure was to paint a picture of the setting and the character. So I did that by talking about why I wanted to do this and what this crust meant to me, right? The conflict, it wasn't working out. It stayed like raw flour. And the struggle, I tried to fight against it and I made it way too liquidy. And then the resolution, quiche was fabulous, not the crust. And the reason, enjoy everything, not just what you're going after, but the pieces sometimes that are the afterthought. Okay, so that's just a really basic example of how you can come up with stories. So my challenge for you this week is to write out one of your stories and keep it simple. Just write out an experience. Don't even think about what I just told you about story structure. Write out an experience and then take a few minutes to go back through and say, okay, am I explaining the, painting a picture of the setting and the characters? Am I using conflict? Am I showing a struggle with the conflict? Am I resolving this? Is there a reason for the story? So I want you to keep those in mind as we go through this series on storytelling to grow your business. And if this is an area that you think, gosh, I could really focus a lot more on, shoot me an email and I'm happy to do a one-on-one online to help you with your story. I wish you great success and I look forward to having you stay tuned for the next part in this series on growing your business through storytelling.